Are you wanting to plan a magical vacation to Walt Disney World, but you're feeling a little overwhelmed about what that's going to look like if you have little humans? Well, don't worry. I have 5 of my favorite tips for you on how to navigate Walt Disney World if you're planning on taking toddlers. But before we get started, I want you to head down to the description box and grab my completely free guide to cash flowing your Walt Disney World budget. You're going to love this, I promise. All right, guys, are you ready? My name is Shelby and I am with Jolly Holiday Travel Company. And today we're gonna chat about my 5 top tips on how to handle Walt Disney World with toddlers. As a mom of 2 little humans, I completely understand that traveling with toddlers is not only an adventure, but a little bit of a struggle, especially if you're taking them to somewhere slightly chaotic like Walt Disney World. It's hot, it's crowded, there's people everywhere, so it can be a little overwhelming, not only for the adults, but also for the toddlers. So I'm going to share with you my favorite 5 tips on how to make things a little less chaotic, a little less overwhelming, and just maximize the fun without feeling stressed out. Okay, are you ready? All right. Tip number 1, guys. Your kids are free until they are 3, okay? So I know this may not be a tip to necessarily avoid the tantrums or the screaming or the overwhelm, but this is a tip to help ease the budget a little bit and help you feel a little bit better about traveling to Walt Disney World. If you aren't buying them a ticket, you don't feel as bad about them screaming about not wanting to meet Mickey and you having to completely detour around that than if you spent the money on them to go and then they're not participating, because that's the worst whenever you have spent the money and they're not willing to participate. But if you're traveling with them and you know that they are completely free to visit, it kind of takes the pressure off a little bit. But also it's such a magical time to take them. Typically the age range for Disney Junior experiences is for children 3 and under. So it's a really cool time to take the kids because they're getting to see all of the characters that they've been watching on TV. And to them, the magic is still real. So they're really loving getting to be right there in person. They're not really connecting that it is a person in a suit. To them, it is the person they're actually seeing on TV. So it is much more magical for the younger audiences anyway. So I always suggest to my clients to take them whenever they are younger and also take them whenever they are a little older and able to actually ride all of the rides, if that's something that you are able to do. All right, let's head down to tip number 2. Tip number 2, bring your own stroller or rent one from an outside vendor. My main thing that I always suggest is do not rent a stroller from inside the park. Here's why. The strollers inside the park can only stay in the park. So think about if your kid falls asleep at night during the fireworks and you were wanting to leave and go home, you're going to then have to take them out of the stroller before you even leave the park. The other thing about those strollers is that they are really hard, very uncomfortable. They don't have a ton of storage space. They do not recline. They are hard plastic. So what I suggest that you do is you can bring your own stroller, which for some people who are traveling through the airport, they don't feel comfortable with that. They feel like it's too bulky. We do always bring our own stroller. It's easy. It makes it easier for us to navigate our 2 toddlers in an airport and onto the airplane with a stroller, rather than them running around all over the place. But if you choose not to bring your own stroller, the other option is to rent a stroller from a third party. So there are multiple third-party vendors that are in the Orlando area, and what happens is you can book them online, and on the day you check in, they will bring a stroller to your resort for you, show you how to work it, and then on the day you check out, you just leave it there at the bellhop, and that service will come in and pick up that stroller for you. And typically this is also a less expensive option than using a stroller inside the park. Inside the park, it's typically about $16 to $20, $24 a day. It ranges depending on the type of stroller that you're using. And if you are renting from a third-party vendor, you can typically get a stroller anywhere from $70, $80 a week. So you're definitely saving money there, and they are much nicer strollers. You're typically getting very high name brands whenever you're renting from a third party rather than in the park. So that's my tip number 2. Okay, so tip number 3 is rider switch. Now this one's pretty cool. If you're traveling with children who are able to ride, and you're also traveling with children who are not meeting the height requirements, typically these are toddlers, then you can do something called rider switch. So this is where, let's say, dad and the older kids that can ride, they stand in line and they go ride the ride, but they get a rider switch pass. So once they are done, they come back and they meet mom, and then mom can go participate with those older kids as well, but they don't have to wait in that line all over again. They're able to go through the fast pass line. Now this is a really cool bonus for these older kids because sometimes they'll get to ride twice. Now if you do have multiple children, typically you can just completely swap groups. There's a whole way to make the system work, but it's a great tool to use for families who have to stay back with one of the younger ones, but the parents both want to ride the ride. So definitely make sure you ask questions and utilize this tool. Okay, so if you're loving these tips so far, stay tuned because tip number 5 is my favorite, okay? All right, secret number 4. Don't stress about all of the little things. Make sure you're packing the items that you can't buy somewhere else. But if there are items that you maybe forget, so wipes, diapers, food, if you run out of snacks, if you need an extra pair of clothes, things like that, Disney is there to help you out. They have places that are called baby care centers. There is one in every single park at Walt Disney World, and they have kitchens that are fully stocked with food, juices, formula, things that you can buy there, as well as diapers, wipes, medicines, bottles, sippy cups, everything, passies. They're all there. They also have microwaves and refrigerators. There is rooms for moms who would like to nurse in a more private area. There are rooms full of tables and high chairs for the toddlers just to kind of have a minute. They can watch Disney shows and movies that are playing there all day. There's also another room that is lined with changing tables to where the parents can get the kids changed really quickly. There's a private bathrooms. It's a really great tool that Disney offers that not many people actually realize that are there. It's also a really great way to just let the kids have a time out. It's hot, it's crowded, the kids are overwhelmed, there's a lot of noises. They need a minute, they need a break. So typically it's cooler, it's a little quieter, sometimes the lights are even a little lower. So it's really helpful to just kind of like get the kids to calm down. Another great thing that we really like to use if you're looking to get the kids to kind of calm down or to let out some energy, especially in Magic Kingdom, they have something called the hub grass, where you can just let the kids run around and play in a non-crowded area that's slightly gated. And they have something similar to this in most of the parks. There's playgrounds at Epcot, there is little grassy areas at Animal Kingdom, and there's typically just some little like back lot places at Hollywood Studios where you can run around and play. So those are things that I definitely suggest that you utilize just to take a break away from the chaos, so you can give your toddlers a minute to adjust to everything that's happened during the day and then be prepared to move on with the rest of their trip. All right, are you ready for tip number 5? Here we go. Tip number 5, lost parents. Now I know you've heard of lost children, but lost parents, that's what happens at Disney World because there's no such thing as a lost child. So lost parents, what do you do? I always make sure to suggest to my clients that have younger children, 1, show them the name tags as soon as you arrive at a park and let them know that if they ever get separated from mom and dad or aunt and uncle or whoever they may be with, that to go look for one of the cast members with the name tag and let them know that you need help looking for their mom and dad or whatever it may be. Also, another thing that I suggest that you do, they have things that are like temporary tattoos. You can get them from Amazon. They also make bracelets. You can get lanyards. You can even get stickers that can go in the back of their shirt, where you can put a phone number for the cast member to use to be able to contact you if they have been found. A lot of times kids get scared whenever they are separated from their family. They may forget what you were wearing. They may forget the phone number. They may forget their name. Sometimes they get too scared and they don't want to speak, but they find who they need to find but then they don't know what to do next because they're so scared. So just to help ease that process along and make it a little bit easier, making sure they have a temporary tattoo on their arm or a lanyard or some form of sticker on the back of them. And you don't have to put their name on it, but you need to put like, if lost, call this number, and have that on there just to make it a little easier to connect the lost parents back with the child so you guys can continue with your vacation. Now, if something like this does happen to you at Walt Disney World, I just want you to know that you really don't have much to worry about, because what happens is once you realize that you guys have been separated, you will find a cast member. More than likely, a cast member will also find your child. We typically used to know very clearly when you could see it on their face when a child has been separated from their family. This actually happened to me as a cast member whenever I was there. I noticed a little girl back into a corner, very upset, frantically looking back and forth, and immediately you know she's been separated from her family. So we do a very good job, I say we as opposed to work there, but we were trained to take care of these children. So what happens as soon as we find a child who has lost parents, then we make a phone call and it goes out to all of the cast members in the area. There's a chain of command on how that goes down, but eventually a message gets sent out to everyone in the area, people that are running the rides, people that are running concession stands, anyone that has a way to connect will be notified of the child and the lost parents, and given a description of either one so that they can be connected together. And then at that point, the child will stay with that same cast member and will be escorted to the lost parent center at the front of the park. Typically, this is the baby care center. They'll hang out with a child care staff member there at the baby care center so that they can just watch movies and relax until the lost parents find their way back to the child. So Disney has a system in which they can help you reconnect. Also, it's really important for you guys to know that there is a ton of security in that park that is designed to blend in. You don't realize that they are there. So things are typically fixed very quickly because there's eyes everywhere and you just don't even realize it. It's supposed to be kind of just blended in so that you can continue with your fun without really realizing what's actually happening. So I like for my clients to, I don't necessarily always go into that detail, but I like for my clients to know what they need to have a conversation about with their children, and also ease their stress a little bit of what it may be like if you were to get separated. This is how it works, so that in the moment when that's happening, you know what the system is and how it works. So maybe we'll cut down on that anxiety just a little bit more. Plus, that's the number one thing that parents do stress about in large crowds is getting separated from your children. So I like to make sure my clients are teaching their children, and I like to teach you so that we can have a little bit more magical time without the stress. So I hope that you liked these top 5 tips of mine. There are so many of them out there. This barely covers everything that there is whenever it goes to taking toddlers to Walt Disney World. But if you like this, make sure you subscribe and like this video. And if you want more tips like this, make sure to click that bell so that you get notified whenever we upload even more videos about going to Walt Disney World, Disneyland, Disney Cruise Line. We obviously love planning magical vacations for you. Now, if you feel like you need a little extra help planning your next trip, make sure to reach out to our agents at Jolly Holiday Travel Company. You can head to jollyholidaytravel.co and you can send in a quote request there, as well as meet some of our team members there. If you just click the description box, you can connect with us on Instagram and in our private Facebook group, where we would love to have you join. You can ask your questions there, and several of our travel planners are there to assist you with some free planning advice in the Facebook group. So hopefully you found this helpful. I will chat with you guys very soon. I hope all of your planning is magical.